somebody that's already dead. How are we going to kill somebody that's already dead? It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. Not by anyone who still remains alive.
brain treatment was given to you. You are a robot, that's all you are. Better not change your mind. You just better not.
10,
Better not change your mind. You just better not.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi! Oh, look, my audio actually works tonight. I think everybody's audio is working tonight. Let's see. Jeff, can you hear me? Cool. Good. So Jeff's working fine.
Yeah, everything seems good.
Robin, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. And Dan, I don't even care if I can hear you or not. So welcome to another exciting episode of Tangents, the only show on the internet that talks about electronic music gear. And
I'll be right back.
Dan Kushner's leaving. Sweet, he's gone. That was a quick host. I could switch to the 3-up view, and then if he comes back, he just won't be on. We'll just hear him pop up on Skype yelling or something, and no one else will know he's there.
He plotted this on
He
purpose. He
probably
was waiting
did.
for this moment.
That's cool.
It's right up there with the troll that Isla Instruments pulled this
I
week.
know, right? Well, that's cool. Oh, good. We didn't want his ass on there anyway, did we? I mean, what did he do for us? Anyway. I'd say he betrayed us, but that's okay, because I'm just going to transition us over to this view instead. There we go. Now it's just the three of us. Hanging out, having a good old time. So, as you can see, that we have a new guest here, new to nobody really. Our good friend Robin has joined us this evening. How are you, Robin?
I'm good. How are you all doing?
Pretty good. What's new in your world?
Not a whole lot. Been basically calming down from work and dealing with like the holiday season and wishing I could just hide under a bed and not have to deal with, things like family and malls and stuff like that.
Did you have to go to a mall?
I actually did like a week and a half ago, and I regretted my decision, and I will not go back to a mall until after, New Year's Day, after New Year's Day. Well, after that, because everything is terrible.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What's really great, Dan, is Dan's talking right now. No one can hear him right now because I shut him out of the view on the screen. So it's just the three of us. So Dan's just going to be there until I decide that he's good enough to come back onto the show. You're not even a ghost. I just removed the frame completely. All right, we'll put him back on. There you go.
Way to distract
Jeez
us.
Louise. All right.
And
Dan Kushner. Folks that don't know who Dan Kushner is, he is a musician as well as an admin for Synth Memes, and that's pretty much about all he is about now. So,
all right, gotta go. Later, guys.
Sweet. All right, back over here to the three of us.
There's not that much gear news tonight, so if I don't fuck around, how are we gonna make the whole hour and a half, right?
2 hours. What are you drinking? Like
It's
a
Crystal
gallon of
Light,
Crystal Light?
motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah,
You believe in Crystal Light because you believe in you.
but I don't believe in you at all.
No. So what's new in your world, Dan Kushner?
Let's see. What's new in my world? I moved. That sucked. That was fucking awful.
Welcome to your new house.
Yep.
It's beautiful.
We installed a radon system down here, so I guess that means I'll live since I'm in here all the time, but that thing sucked. It was awful.
Like, as in, like, it's pumping radon into the room?
Yes. I
Sweet.
find that it makes my analog synths sound better.
And also your breath shorter.
Well, it kills bad breath. It also kills you.
It kills breath, period, really.
Yeah. I don't know what else. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
fairly indiscriminate. That's
Yeah.
the problem about
Puts
it.
out fires
that-
in life.
That was awful. So we moved in and they're like, well, okay, the radon levels, they got back to us after we moved in like 4 times the amount that which you should have down there. And it's like, oh, where? And they're like, oh, in your studio. Just don't spend too much time in there. I'm like, okay.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, sure. So they show up and it's like literally right above me is where they had to do it. So I had to take down half the studio, and like you can't easily take down half the studio because everything is interconnected.
Right.
It's not like I can unplug a few things and move it all over.
Right.
There's like 30 cables running across the entire room. So that was like a mild trauma to the studio, and I ended up like ripping it all. Oh, and they didn't tell me I needed to do this. They just showed up and they're like, "Oh, it goes right here." And it's like, really? So I just have to like destroy my studio today? That's fantastic. So I ended up taking everything down. They installed the whole thing, took the money, ran, and then I had to put it all back up. And so the next like 3 streams were all screwed up because every single camera, like, streaming rigs are so temperamental.
They really are.
Like you cannot. There's like some magical sequence of the cameras being plugged in USB wise in order for everything to just come back up. And the way I like to do things is not fuck around trying to figure these things out. I want to just like flip a switch and have it work because the things I want to fuck around on are the keyboards. I don't care about cameras. They're like a necessary evil. So I want all my stuff to work. So for like 3 streams, including a Synthfest, I just could not get anything working. I was ending up like getting rid of entire scenes in OBS, and I spent like an hour before streaming just like stressing out to figure out if I was even going to have audio, if it was, it was just screwing with every single driver. And it's just from one stupid event like radon remediation.
So you had fun is what you're telling me.
Yes.
That's good.
I enjoy these things.
Yeah, I understand. Well, we're glad to have you on here. Okay.
Oh,
Jeff and
you'll
Toto
regret it.
Robin are glad to have you on here. I really don't give a shit that you're on here, really. 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
I care.
See?
Thank you.
Somebody does. Somebody likes you, Dan.
I like your poster that says kitty. That's excellent.
It says it's an old Obama thing, so it's like obey the kitty. I love that thing so
cool.
much.
It's the obey. It's the shepherd
Yep.
friendly. Cool.
That's
That's
it's a staple.
That's awesome. Jeff, how are you?
Good. I had to think for a second. Good. Yeah, things are good.
What? Yeah,
It's been a
anything,
quiet
up to
couple of
anything
weeks.
exciting and
Been
new?
good. Yeah.
Happy birthday!
I had a birthday, which
like, what,
in
19
and of-
now?
Thank you. In and
You're
of
like
itself,
19
the
now?
What's that?
Oh, all right.
Nice.
21. It was cool. I can legally drink for
Congratulations.
the first time ever. No, I am not a birthday kind of person, but this one wound up being pretty good. And one of the things that came out of it was that I have this like 325-year-old stereo system about, and various components of it have been sort of like keeling over the years. And so I got a new record player this year, which was very exciting.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
But now I can. Yeah, I can. I don't think it's that kind of record player.
Anything's like that kind of record
You
player
did
if you push it back
you
and
did
forth.
the boomer
One
DJ
time
thing.
only.
Oh, you're a DJ.
Yeah, so that's cool though, because I've got all these records that I haven't been able to play for a long time, so that's been exciting.
Oh, very cool.
And then also we've got. I mean, it's in the news for tonight, so I won't spoil much of it, but some interesting stuff about the S2400
Indeed.
going on.
That'll be
Things.
exciting stuff.
Things are happening.
Wait, the Isla one or the re-release one?
The Isla.
Cool.
Yes. Dan doesn't get privy to the news because Dan's not cool like the rest of us are.
Wait, what? Privy to what news?
Exactly. That's what we do. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Looking in the chat room, I see that there's at least 3 real people in there, and the rest are bots. Unfortunately, our our attorney, Commander Root, has not yet shown up. And
I know.
Benjamin Netanyahu, who's usually in there, the former Israeli prime minister, has not yet shown up either.
I wasn't a supporter.
Well, he's been showing up
He
like
would
in the last couple of the streams for some reason.
Well, since I'm here now, he
Yeah,
won't,
that's what it
because,
is.
I didn't support his policies.
Yeah. He probably logged in real quick and said, "Oh fuck, Dan Kushner," and just like logged off.
Yeah, he's a fuck man.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, quite honestly, his policies were not great. They were meant to inspire fear. I was not a big fan of that. And the coalition government that got rid of him is not too much better, but better is better, right? Sometimes that's what you got.
Yep.
And so next year, the agreement they had in order to form that government, they're going to have one prime minister from one side of the agreement and then another one. So they're going to roll through to a better one next year. So other governments are weird. But yeah, he won't come into this chat. I guarantee it. He knows it.
Yeah, our government isn't weird.
No.
No,
That's
not
the
at all.
takeaway. Our government is very not
Ours
weird.
is so normal. It's not even funny. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks the entire robot out there and David01 and Earth Moon is out there as well. So that's cool. And otherwise it's us and robots.
And what did you get up to this past weekend?
What did I get
Yeah.
up to this
2
past week? Gosh,
Yeah.
what did I do in the past couple weeks, really? I went to the zoo. That was fun.
That's nice.
Yeah, that
That's
was nice. That was,
God, you're boring.
I know, right? No, it was cool. It was fun. It was nice. We're going to go back again. I like zoos.
Did it let you near the animals?
They sure did.
I mean, did it let you near the animals after what happened last time?
Well, they still made me keep that 50-foot distance. But,
Yeah, it's gonna get worse with AI.
It really
you
is.
get a lot of leeway because they don't really know it's you, but facial recognition.
Yeah.
Alerts.
And plus all the lions are cyborgs now, so that makes it more difficult. I went for a delightful hike on Saturday with Glacial 23,
Nice.
which is always good seeing Mr. Sam. It was delightful, and the weather was nice and cool. And I've been messing around a lot with my MPC-1,
Cool.
figuring that stupid thing out, and it's been kind of fun. It's a little bit stupid.
I got
I
new
really
piece
like
of gear
it.
coming.
Oh yeah.
I have an Nespresso Virtua line.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You like those Nespresso things. You like your cardboard coffee.
Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. The Virtua line stuff is delicious.
It's only been freeze dried for the past 6 months.
Not the Virtua line. No,
No.
it's much more fresh than that.
3 months.
It's only 3 months.
It's more fresh than your mother, Trebek.
Well, my mom's in her 80s, so a lot of things are fresher than my mom. So, yeah. So yeah. Other than that, working a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's coming up to like the end of the year, and so everyone wants stuff for their tax write-offs and everything. So
Oh,
That sucks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about work. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
You
Let's talk about work.
That's fucking great.
yeah, I ate a lot of food. That's good. And it snowed. So that's been my time.
Oh,
That's
cool.
been my excitement. This is my
It
life.
sounds like a pretty exciting Ohio summer.
I know, right? Woo! Fuck yeah, bitches.
Zing.
We'll go to the beach on Friday when it's snowing.
that
Yeah.
sounds about
Yep.
right.
It's all right. You can't swim anyway because of all the toxic waste that's been dumped there.
Nah, it's actually pretty clean.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe back in the 70s, Dan Kushner, but apparently you don't pay attention to current events.
Pay attention to current events about Ohio.
Maybe you should. My cat's over there freaking out right now. Anyway, should we talk about all the exciting news that we have? Well, first of all, Dan Kushner, do you have any news from the front of Papa John?
He says that he wants to clear his name from what happened 3 years ago. Like, there's some way to make it better, that he used a racial slur multiple times, including on a conference call while at work that was being recorded. Like, there's a good way to sanitize that one. But he claims now that it's just like how Dr. Seuss got canceled, that he was a victim of the woke left-wing mob. So rather than take responsibility for his actions, his literal strategy, so fucking boring. He's totally a cliche. Is to blame everyone who got upset that he used the racial slur. Yeah. Papa John is he hasn't changed.
No, he hasn't. Papa John's still a moron.
He did say that he ate 800 pizzas since then. Or no, I'm sorry, he had 800 pizzas since
Yes,
then.
he's
So
had.
he's still keeping up with the pizza.
He's still having them,
Yes.
not eating them, but having them.
Yeah.
This is the Papa John of Papa John's
Correct.
pizza fame.
So let me catch you up. Let me catch you up. So back a while ago, Mr. Dan Kushner had this show called Gear Splaining, where it's basically it was kind of like what we do here, except one of the co-hosts was always really stressed out and would usually go off and yell about something. Kind of like imagine Christoph times 20.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the pre-shows were so stressful.
Oh my God, we would
I love
sit
the guy
there.
that
We would
did.
sit there while he was like yelling at his gear, and it was always the same problem every week. And Dan and I would just sit there and be like, "So, how you doing, buddy?"
And it's kind of like we're like, I know what you're trying to do, but we don't need that for the show.
Yeah.
You could go with a much more simpler implementation. Like he wanted to like route all of his audio out to his MX1 in external mode, then back in, then back out one more time, then to another computer for the stream. That way he could press play on music on a website and everybody could hear it, including in the stream and himself. But that doesn't really work for other things very well. It can work, but it doesn't. You have to like you have some drivers miss. But like the thing is no one cared.
Yep. We didn't care.
And whenever you do that, you'd have to reset up everything because he had it set up a totally different way. I love the man, but literally having to reconfigure his mixer every week was making him want to kill the world. And
And he would take it out on a news
Honestly-
story.
yeah. Anyway, so while this is going down, it's not that much gear news, so we would make fun of many other things. Let's be honest. There's so many times you make. I think the best thing to buy would be the Hydrogen, right? So, at some point you're like, well, let's talk about how Papa John ate 40 pizzas in 30 days, and you can get a half hour.
Oh
out of
yeah,
that.
we did.
And so we did. And so we and Papa John, as it turns out, doesn't just give off one weird headline like that. The headline for that news story was visibly damp Papa John's claims he's eaten 40 pizzas or had 40 pizzas in 30 days, which is a totally strange headline.
No, he had
So-
eaten it because then he came back and said, "I never said I ate it. I said I had 40 pizzas in 30 days."
Oh, okay.
And so then
Yeah,
I
he
think we spent a
clarified
half
that.
hour figuring out what he meant by had.
It was a sexual
Yeah, he
thing.
fucked him. Yeah.
He fucked those pizzas. So he was visibly damp in the interview, and that's weird, right? Like if you're going to be interviewed for something, even like a local interview in Kentucky, I don't know if you're like super crazy damp. I don't like towel off or like do this like before you. Someone should have said no. Was no one around to be like, nope. Someone should have been like, hey, hold on 1 second. Here's a washcloth, you filthy motherfucker. Put the pizza down. But it,
Papa J, you're wet.
Papa
Hang
J,
tight.
making us all really uncomfortable. And so, but no one did. So it wasn't a sensationalistic headline. It was accurate reporting because he was visibly damp. He was visibly damp. He just was. There's no other way to describe how weird this fucking interview was. That he was visibly damp and kind of like, if you ate tons of pizza every day, you know how your heart would like be almost giving in or dead. From like how unhealthy you are. He's kind of like that. You ever meet someone who's like constantly breathing and in your head you're like, whoa, that's not great. It's like, you didn't do anything. Why are you breathing like that?
And now this turned into an ASMR
I know,
stream.
right?
Yeah, like a sweaty.
Covering all the bases right now.
Yes. I'm going to put Papa John ASMR stream. Don't listen.
Oh my
or
God, it
do,
would just be
actually.
him like eating pizza loudly.
Well, in a hot tub.
Like smacking his lip
On pizza.
while like.
That was good. Another pizza, please.
And like
So,
you can hear
Papa
like
John,
this skin like emitting oil.
Yeah. Like the thing is he could show up at the beginning of an interview after toweling his face off vigorously, and by the end of the interview, he'd be oily again. He's
just patting his face with flour.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And trying to decide if this is the year for pineapple on pizza. So yeah, Papa John doesn't just serve up that one. We started digging in, and apparently doesn't just serve up that one. We started digging in, and apparently everything the guy does is like Goody Bird, fucking psycho, crazy,
It's
hysterical.
bonkers. It's shit bonkers.
Like for a CEO to do this stuff, like
former CEO.
it was like, imagine a stupid like pop music person who made many millions of dollars within 6 months, but then put him in charge of a Fortune 500 company. It was hysterical shit like that. Like he did a tour of his house. In the middle of his front hall is like this giant gold eagle statue
With a clock on it.
and it's like, yeah, with a clock. And it's kind of like, wait, what? Hold on. Let's go back to the golden eagle statue. Why do you have that? Like, what? Why did you buy that? What made you think that was a good idea? No. Why is no one around you to say no to your stupid shit,
It's
man?
kind of like his whole house looked like. Have you ever seen the Design Toscano website?
No.
Design Toscano.
Design
No,
Toscano.
you'd have
So
to-
yeah, I'll just put it into the chat here, and then just Google Design Toscano, and
So basically,
Yeah.
Papa John blaming the woke left mob for canceling him is literally the most boring thing he's ever
Right.
done. But that's the most recent news.
and that's the most you'd expect people like that to do that kind of thing. What you wouldn't
Yeah,
expect is
exactly.
the
It was totally
giant
predictable.
golden eagle in his house and him giving you a tour of the Papa John home, and it literally being like 5 minutes of just his entryway, and then he's like, in the next episode I'll show you my helicopter.
Yeah, and then it's like there's episodes. I thought, what did I stumble onto here? Why are there
I think there's only
episodes of you
2, and I
touring
think he
around?
gave up.
That's too
I
many.
know, it really
Yeah,
is.
he canceled himself.
He canceled himself. He's like, it was a left-wing mob.
It's often
Why?
funny how people who claim that are the ones who are usually claiming that there needs to be people taking personal responsibility for their actions. Like it goes hand in hand. The ones who are claiming people need to take
You might
personal
be onto
responsibility. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I take no responsibility. Look at what this horrible mob did to me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Oh, in his article, he said that they did it because they hated how he showed the world that you can still live the American dream. And that's why the woke left mob canceled him. Because he started a pizza chain from nothing and grew it to a big thing. And you know what? Of all the things that are wrong with him starting a pizza chain and it becoming successful, that ain't one of them.
Yeah, that's
like
great.
no one gives a
Good
shit.
job.
Like everyone's like cool, man. Your breadsticks are all right. Everything else I would say is kind of food, right? You have to use air quotes, but like your breadsticks.
Well, the pepperoncinis are good.
You feel like crazy shit after you eat his stuff though for a
Really
while.
do.
I know this because I have, and I used to actually drive for them when I was like 20, right? So I've eaten plenty of Papa John's, and I didn't know why I felt
30
like
of
that.
them in 40
But
days?
after no, well, breadsticks, right? So what I'd do is I'd go home after work and I'd eat the breadsticks, and I'd be like, "Why do I feel this way?" And I'd be like all puffy and shit. Now I know it's because it wasn't actually. It's food. It's food-like substance, food adjacent, food akin. It's nutritious. It's digestible, debatable, right?
Well, it does come out in the end.
It is significantly inflammatory. Like if what they need to do. Oh, hey, there's a banner that came up on the stream. That's awesome. Thanks, Twitch. Midstream putting banners on there. That's
Oh, the advertising banner?
yeah.
I don't-
They've been doing that for a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, and I don't think I get any money from that, do I? No.
Nope. And it interrupts your stream. Like the one thing about like, okay, like they're gonna put ads on before the pre-roll ads or mid-roll if you choose to. That's one thing, but the four walls of your thing shouldn't ever get interrupted, and that kind of pisses me off that they do
Agree.
that. But whatever. I'm thinking about dropping affiliate just because of it. Anyway, so if they included like ibuprofen with every single one, that way you could like reduce your inflammation. That'd be a master stroke, and you know,
Truth.
he should have done that. But
He's just, I don't know. It's all just bunkers.
yeah, making fun of him is easy because it's a nonstop stream of bullshit.
pretty much-
What was our other favorite?
What's his name? The opera singer.
Placido
Yes,
Domingo.
Placido
Well, let's
Domingo.
see what he's up to. Fuck that guy too. What's he up to? Let's see. Okay, so Placido Domingo, a little background, is an incredible opera singer. He's one of the three tenors, and he sexually harassed the shit out of all the women at the fucking Met, where he was a resident singer. And he was like a tyrant and like as awful and rapey and dramatic as you can imagine, except it's the world of opera. which means someone needs to write an opera about this, okay? But it hasn't happened yet. Anyway, so we started calling him Placido Dongmingo, which we thought was pretty funny. And every single week he gave some kind of like limp dick defense for why he was so rapey and that everyone was actually just trying to get parts in the operas, and that was kind of how he vetted them. And everyone was like, "That's not better! Like, that's a casting couch in an opera? What the fuck, man?" Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, now he said, "We cannot rewrite our past." Okay, yeah, sure. Maybe that seems actually kind of reasonable.
You can. But, you know, you also have to take responsibility for it.
Yep. We also made fun of Roland a lot. Ooh, Roland.
Well, we
is
do that
so
on this
easy
show
to
all
make
the
fun
time, so that's okay. Yeah, that hasn't changed. Roland,
Roland
Behringer,
is so I don't really make fun of Behringer
Ourselves.
as much as I talk shit on Behringer, but Roland I make fun of a lot. I talk shit on them too.
Well, interestingly enough, we do not have any news from Roland or Behringer this week.
What?
Well, I guess we have.
Really
I guess we have some Roland like adjacent news that we can talk about.
Ooh.
So we do have.
Hit me!
So we got that. So we should probably jump into some news now that we've been yammering for half an hour.
It's Enrico Palazzo!
We have tangented. We've done it. Now we're gonna have to like rocket ship through the news to make it through all of it.
We've done that
like 8
before.
things.
Where it's just like we've been talking for an hour and we still haven't even touched the fucking news.
Oh, we got like an hour and a half left.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hold on. Let's make a pun transition. Oh, I could have done.
Oh,
something
there you
volcano
go.
With
That was,
I went
that
rocket
was-
ship
that was
instead.
dumb.
Womp
Okay,
womp.
cool.
Boom.
So yeah, speaking of volcanoes and rockets,
I ruined
the FabFilter Volcano version 3 has been released. This is a exciting, unbeatable filter. You posted this, didn't you? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I was watching. I was actually watching FabFilter pretty closely to see what they were going to do for Black Friday because they did. It was about a year ago now. They did a 40% off sale, which was like pretty crazy. Because if you buy their total mega super ultra Voltron pack of stuff, it's $1,000. So I mean, 1,000 to 600 that's a real deal. And FabFilter stuff is killer. So I'd been watching their site to see what came up, and then right like the day before Black Friday, I guess it was, they announced the maybe it wasn't the day before Black Friday.
Things that
That's
become
Thanksgiving. Probably was the Wednesday.
I think that's Thursday the Gray.
Yeah. No,
And
Thursday
then
the
it
brown.
fell down the whole
Because it's like the turkey
Yeah.
and the mashed potatoes. Most of
It
the foods are brown.
emerged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Friday the Black.
Yeah, it's the one meal to
Yes.
rule them all, and in the darkness. It's yeah, it's a cool filter. I've used it. You can get some really weird shapes out of it. It's not exactly like the filter that, if anybody hasn't used this thing, it's not exactly like a traditional filter. It's not like a linear filter, so you can do weird shapes with things. You can make really weird noises on it. It's sort of like sits at the intersection between EQ and filter. And you can do really I don't know, kind of like overdriven gritty sounds with it. It's cool. It's very much an effect, which is neat. But they updated it. I actually didn't look at it. It's very funny. Every time FabFilter updates them, I don't know if does everybody here are familiar with their products?
No.
No.
So I kind of see FabFilter and Waves is sort of like relatively similar to one another, but Waves has a business model that I think is like not great. And they have this boil the ocean approach to building software. So they have 7,000 different things.
Oh, I want to make fun of Waves so bad for a minute. First off, no one gives a shit about Chris Lord Alge, right? Has anybody here been like, fuck yeah, Chris Lord Alge has a new plugin? I'm buying that, right? No one.
You weren't?
Yeah, so I'm alone in this. My bad.
Okay.
Everyone
Okay,
here is
fine.
Chris Lord Alge fans.
Don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
No idea who the fuck that is.
Is
Oh,
there-
you know what it is, Jeff, right? Chris
Yeah.
Lord Alge? Okay,
Yeah,
so they've got this guy who produced a few albums in like the aughts, and they've had him over endorse their plugins. And so now there's a ton of Chris Lord Alge Studio Suite plugins from Waves, and literally it's the most like No one gives a shit. It's almost like meme worthy how much they've put so much stock into someone who literally no one cares about.
They did like a whole HRTF headphone plugin based on his studio, so you can put on the headphones and it sounds like the like room tone of his studio, and it gets all the reverb and ambiance of the studio. It's really like super duper over the top, and everybody who isn't like a person of a certain age who knows who he was because you remember a couple albums that he worked on and saw his name in the credits on them, or is like deeply paying attention to Waves marketing, like everybody else is like, who is this man and why is his name on everything? Why do we care about the room that he sits in?
I bet most people are like, is he a plugin specialist? You know, like as opposed to just someone who's endorsing it, right? It's like one thing to model Abbey Road or some other famous room, but like no one cares about Chris Lord Alge's room.
No. Chris Lord Alge might not even care about his room.
Yeah, they're just giving him money, and that's good because he needs it because he hasn't made an album in years because he's been so busy with the plugins.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like Richard
Just, like,
Devine when it
writing
comes
about
to
on
like
Snap.
promoting shit. He's just kind of like the whore that just like.
Well, Richard Devine does his own legwork though.
Yeah, but he certainly
Like him or hate him, he's putting in the work.
Sure.
Chris Lord Alge is literally just having his face slapped on plugins that Waves is putting out. It is truly a boil to see thing, and it's weird, man. It's a totally miscalibration. Waves has other issues too. Everything they have is perpetually on a sale for $25, but it used to all cost $700, and everyone just bought it cracked or just pirated it, right? So they had this huge issue with pirating. They also have some of the worst plugin-based implementation. So if you buy one of their plugins, it installs 5 different plugins based on if you want it in stereo or if you want it in mono, or if you want it in stereo at 44, or if you want it in mono. So it like, instead of like just a menu that you can configure how the plugin works or figuring out the context that it's in, oh, it's a stereo track, I'm going to be the stereo version of it. Instead, you literally have to go through every single one. So if you buy a suite of them, you go into Ableton and you have a Waves folder, or if you don't have it in a folder, it takes you like 5 minutes to scroll through all these fuckers.
And then they update it and they're like, we fixed a bug, and they're like, well, it's going to be another $30.
Yep.
Yeah. That's their whole marketing or their whole business model.
Yeah.
That's why like I don't get into Waves. They have some pretty good stuff. Like a lot of it sounds pretty good, I think, and some of it's been industry standard, especially for like motion picture stuff for a long time, but man, their business model is straight up predatory in the same way that Roland's is.
Totally. They
gross.
sell like, they feel like almost like the way Microsoft feels, where I'm going to buy a Microsoft product for business, and so to do that, I'm going to also buy the upgrade path. So if they send out an upgrade in the next 2 years, I get it for free. And so you have to do that with Waves, or else you have to pay full price, and it will stop working eventually because it will eventually, it will work as long as you don't upgrade your computer. But hey, you have the new M1 or new operating system, anything like that. Boom. You need to have been on that stupid upgrade plan in order to keep it working.
Yep.
Yeah. So FabFilter is much better for anybody listening at home because they don't do that. You buy FabFilter and it works, and it works. They typically do like a yearly update on stuff, but when they do an update, it tends to be a couple of things. Like they tend to fix bugs, they tend to fix any compatibility issues, but they almost always add new features or more power to stuff too.
Yeah.
So this one I hated for a while, the Volcano, and it's cool. So I'm glad that they updated it. And because they're not predatory shark bastards, they updated it the day before they put it on Black Friday.
That was nice of them.
So I got it right here. So here's the cool thing about it is they also put all of it on iPad.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
And I on Black Friday bought every single thing on iPad. It's all visually great to use too. It's so nice.
Oh,
So I
that's
bought
really cool.
their entire suite. So it was $80 for everything on iPad, which is a fantastic deal. And then I think I bought they had another like 3 of them for $40, right? So incredibly cheap as compared to buying it on desktop. It works really well. And so what I'm trying to figure out is like why I would ever master a song on something other than iPad right now, because the interface is all touch. It works like magic. It's the same exact plugin. Like there's no auditory difference. Your computer or a tablet, it's not going to work better or worse on one or the other, except the tablet has all these beautiful touchscreen features. So if I master a song right now, I'm literally just going to load it up on my iPad and do it using touch, and it's going to be a tactile experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was cheaper. They make really fantastic stuff. I really think at this point buying Waves seems almost silly. Although they do still have good functionality, but then you have to deal with all their nonsense, their dongles and all their licensing things. This was so easy. I bought it, I installed it. It's done. It's logged on my Apple account. It couldn't be simpler.
It's all yours now and forever.
Yep.
Until it stops working.
Yeah, and Volcano 3 works great. It is really awesome. It sounds awesome. They made their name making filters. Their first product was in 2004, and it was just like this free plugin that came with Computer Music Magazine, and it was a one oscillator on a CD, and they were just like, we make an awesome digital filter. Look at this, and it was like, hey, that is awesome. And then they started coming out with some of these other plugins and really challenging for some of the top spots for some of the more utilitarian things. They never tried to get silly with it like Isotope did. Like Isotope is probably their other big competitor, and they're way better than Waves as well. They're probably closer to this, but they've spent a lot of time trying to like rethink the systems rather than just make the plugins. Like, let's make a system that uses AI to do the mix for you. You know, so drop a plugin at the end of every single one of your channels, and then you go into another environment and it figures it all out. Right? That's kind of neat and slick, but it's also kind of like unnecessary, and it doesn't work that well. These guys put all their chips onto, we're going to make an EQ, and it's the best, easiest to use EQ ever.
Yeah, and God, the EQ is that's what I was going to say. Like, if you want an EQ,
It's incredible.
just like it's actually you could get away with probably doing if you had the Fab Filter EQ. You basically could do, I don't know, probably 80% of your mixing.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
It's very, very good.
Nice.
It is truly unbeatable.
That is awesome. So that's the Fab Filter Volcano Filter version 3. It's $129 American. And if you need that kind of thing, then cool, get it.
Cheaper on iPad.
Cheaper on
Way
iPad.
cheaper. Same exact thing though. iPad is the most exciting realm of music production to me. I mean, hardware is still where my heart is, but the iPad, with M1's introduction, it's, when I say exciting, I mean, I'm still going to prefer working on hardware, but M1 on iPad has made it like really hard to justify the paradigm of using a computer in a desktop mode to do what we've been previously doing. Because just on my iPad, I have a significantly more powerful portable digital audio workstation now. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, the M1 iPad is an amazing thing, and and it's a very exciting time for us people that have iPads that are M1 chips.
Yep.
Everyone else can fuck off.
Highly recommend it. Well, I mean, someone else needs to show up and start competing with it. That's for sure. But no one has.
They try, but I mean, we already got like the Surface tablet, and that's not at all the same paradigm.
Nothing's on
it's
it.
not at all the same paradigm.
Here's the EQ. Doing an EQ on here with iPad is like literally this easy, and it sounds very good. It's a linear EQ, right? So you're probably not going to use this if you're doing a live jam. You're probably using this in production because it's going to generate some level of delay. But the M1 is able to process it so fast that the delay is almost imperceptible, right? So if you do it on a normal desktop, you're going to have a lot of issues with creating latency. So you don't do that until the end of your mix. With this, you're probably not even going to notice. But again, doing it with your fingers is really something special in order to be able to carve out the sound. And when you have music going through it, it has a really nice graphical display that shows up behind it, so you can almost like not even listen to it and fix problems. It's pretty crazy.
Brilliant. Cool. So our next news story is all about buttons. Because, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I love buttons.
This one's news to me.
So this is the Midify Matrix Graphical MIDI Sequencer and Isomorphic Keyboard. Now, 3/4 of us have a device that's kind of similar to, feeling of this kind of thing. But this has more buttons than the Deluge. Does that make it better? No, because it's not a Deluge. But 289 motherfucking buttons. Motherfuckers. That's a lot.
That's a lot of buttons.
It's a lot of buttons.
It's a lot of buttons. Wow.
That is a 17 by 17 grid of LEDs of graphic sequencing love.
17 is
I know,
such
right?
a weird
I
number.
was just gonna say that.
Well,
Why
my
17?
guess is
16 by 16, but then there's the control rows on each side.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yep, as I was about to
that
say.
checks out.
So they're mechanical keys as well. So they kind of sound like a fun key, like computer keyboard, or probably anything
Whoa.
that Electron makes. Yeah,
That makes it
That's
better than
awesome.
the
clackety
Deluge.
clackety. But that also means that they're not, they're much like the Deluge. They're not velocity sensitive. They're on-off kind of things.
So, I mean, the idea behind this is step sequencing
Correct.
mostly,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you're not really gonna play a sequence into this. If you want to do that, you're probably gonna hook up another controller.
Well, I mean, it has an isomorphic keyboard on there, so you could use it for playing things. I mean, I use the isomorphic keyboard on the Deluge a lot because I actually play that better than I play a normal piano style keyboard.
Can you say isomorphic again, but slower and deeper?
Isomorphic.
Nah,
Daddy.
didn't work. Didn't work.
No boner? Okay, I tried.
Anti-boner.
Good. You're an innie now.
Yeah.
So no boner.
Oh, wait, do that again.
Nobody needs velocity anyway. There's no meaningful velocity under 127.
Velocity is pretty stupid.
Anybody who plays anything under 127 velocity is doing it wrong. There's no point to any of it. You just turn it all
I
the
mean,
way
that's
up
what I
and
did
just
with all
slam
the
everything.
industrial music I wrote. Yeah, you just see
Yeah,
velocities
exactly.
for pussies.
Like, who needs anything other than all the way?
Velocity is for people who got offended by Papa John when he said all that racist stuff.
Velocity is a
Yeah,
tool
exactly.
of a liberal leftist mob.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
canceling volume.
Yes, it cancels. It cancels
Bullshit.
volume slightly.
Right there in the name.
So yeah, this thing is basically this big MIDI sequencer. And you have additional functionality with all the little extra buttons and everything like that on there. It's got some little sliders that you can program out.
Fucking love sliders.
I know. Who doesn't? And yeah, it's kind of neat looking. It's also it's a DIY. You can get it as a DIY kit for 1,100 euros. So it's like this is kind of pricey for a big mechanical keyboard of MIDI control.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's built.
It's because the mechanical keys.
Yeah, the mechanical
That's-
keys are probably the thing, and those are all custom capped mechanical keys, and so I'm sure there's a lot of manufacturing costs.
And this isn't going to be a huge run,
No.
right? This is not going to be super popular, so it's going to go to a very small culture of really hardcore enthusiasts, and that's cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It also means that they're not going to achieve economies of scale, and the price isn't going to come down.
No.
So, but when you have something that's so customized like this, I mean, they could. That's the way. Like, if they wanted to get way cheaper, they could use the same exact keys or pads that everybody else uses,
Yeah.
right? And just buy stuff that's readily available instead of doing custom stuff. So it's going to drive the price up. If you're a major mechanical keys enthusiast and you really like the workflow of the Deluge, but you wish it were clickier, this might be right up your alley.
Yeah, pretty much. Or if you're a big fan of the old Tenorion,
It looks cool.
or some of the Novation gear as well. The Novation sequencers are like, kind of like this as well.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
looks big.
it does.
Yeah, I was like wondering what size those.
They're probably like a
buttons are.
keyboard key, each one.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, because which if that's the case, then that seems like that's a big size sequencer. I'm like looking at like desk
so
space,
Midify.
whatever.
Folks that aren't familiar, Midify makes these MIDI sequencer devices and stuff like that, and they're all fucking huge. Like I'm looking at the video of this thing right now, and this thing is about 2 feet by 2 feet. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
It's not small.
yeah.
And Midify makes another matrix style sequencer with like mechanical buttons and stuff as well. I mean, it's just kind of the thing that they do. If you look on midify.com is the name of this, the website with a PHY, I should say, at the end there. And they make a number of things. They make the SEQ V4, the Lupa V2, the Matrix, and those are all like very, clickety clackety fun machines that do various sequencing and stuff like that. They have this very similar kind of look and style to them, where everything is very clean and BMW looking. So everything is really not cheap either because of that.
Reminds me a little bit of the MIDI fighter.
Yeah, kind of. A MIDI fighter like the Circlon.
Mhm.
There's a Circlon. They make something that looks just like a
Yeah.
Circlon.
Yeah, the SEQ.
That's what David.
Yep, sure enough. Yeah, so they do a lot of this, and like the Circlon uses Mattia switches, so those are like really high end, like extra clickety clackities. Everything kind of looks like 1960s test equipment, which I love that. I love that kind of look to it. Do I love it enough to spend that much money on it? No. But it looks cool. And I suppose if you are in the market for a grid sequencer and you don't want to be cool and have a deluge, then this might be an alternative.
Do you have a Prophet behind you?
Yeah, Prophet 6.
Is that a Prophet? Oh, that's a 6. Okay, never mind. I thought it was a Prophet 5.
No, Justin has the 5. But he's...
I totally got distracted by a pretty keyboard.
I punched his teeth out today, so he's not on the show.
What did you do?
Punched
What
his
did
fucking
you
teeth
do?
out.
How could
Yeah,
you?
with those weak arms. I'd believe it if Robin said that.
Well, okay. I hired somebody to punch his teeth out. Fine. And it was a dentist.
All right.
Jeez.
You went on Fiverr.
Good night, SynthLab.
Good night, SynthLab. Thanks for joining us.
Night, SynthLab.
Yeah, so that's the Matrix, the Midify Matrix. So we were talking about how we didn't have any Roland news, but this is kind of sort of like Roland news, and that is this device called the Gestural Controller Laser, LAZER. Basically, it's a D-beam that you can put wherever you want to. Only it's a laser instead of a D-beam.
The D-beam always wanted to be a laser.
I guarantee somewhere at Roland, some MBA man was like, let's build 2 million D-beams. We'll sell through. Let's get the extra 5 cents off per price. And that's why they included it for like 2 decades on all their gear.
Everything. I think the last thing that had it was probably the Gaia, which was like 2000.
That's when they finally
11, I think is when that came
10,
out.
11, yeah.
It took them like 20 years to sell through.
Yeah. Sam and I were surprised they didn't just come out with like a ball that's just made out of D-beams and you just like throw it at people and it does things badly.
Yeah, I never really actually had a problem with D-beam. It was definitely novel.
It was.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
But it was kind of like it was a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah, no one it's like it takes 5 seconds to think it's cool. It's like, oh, okay, you can use your hand. So it's like I can do this with a filter.
Yeah.
And then you do it and you're like, that was cool. And then you never do it.
Yeah,
again.
exactly. I mean, they put it on I have one on my keytar.
Mm-hmm.
They hysterically overcommitted to that, kind of like Waves and Chris Lord Jazz. There should be a Chris Lord Alice D-beam.
Somebody from Waves might be listening. It's
You speak it, it happens. It's like porn on the internet. If you can come up with the category, it is already.
I tested that theory by once Googling Ewok porn.
Why?
And it actually, one of the few things that came back was 0 results. And then 2 weeks later, I typed Ewok porn in, and it was no longer 0 results.
You're really determined to find some.
You are depraved.
I invented Ewok porn by typing it into Google.
By thinking it into an existence.
However, I
an
highly
accomplishment.
recommend to everyone out there to look up Jar Jar Binks Darth Maul /fic. And
Yep. Nope. It's like the mullet. Yep. Nope.
or Jeff and mine's favorite thing, Long Furby.
Long Furby is excellent and worth knowing about.
Long Furby is just
The long Furby.
just type in
Long
Google
Furby
image
is
search
not
for
a Rule 34
Long
thing.
Furby.
It's very funny. The things that people get into are really good. And I am really just waiting, honestly, for Look Mom No Computer to discover Long Furby because he's already into Short Furby.
Yep.
Like he makes
Right.
all sorts of horrifying things with Furbies and makes them like into weird instruments and spit fire and do stuff. It's just a matter of time until somebody goes, "Hey, you ever hear about a Long Furby?" And every time he posts some Furby stuff on his Instagram, I make a comment about Long Furby. But of course, he gets too many comments on his Instagram, and I'm never fast enough. But one of
you're
these
gonna break
days,
through, man. Yeah.
one of these days, I'm gonna
days.
wear it down, and he's gonna see it, and we're gonna see a Long Furby appear on the next Look Mom No Computer, and it's gonna be me. We're gonna know where they came from.
You'll know.
You know, we can actually make this happen. So, Fantastic Rectangles, who is a member of the guild, although he did just have a kid. So, did he have a kid, or was that? Well, okay. Anyway, he lives really
yes.
close to Look Mom No Computer's museum, and he's there all the time. So, if we fund Fantastic Rectangle off eBay a Long Furby, I don't
Yeah.
even know what a Long Furby is. I'm just saying. He could walk in that fucking museum with one and
Wrapped around
spark
his
this entire
shoulders.
thing off. Yeah. By the way, there's an alternate universe very near it to us on our position in the quantum possibility frontier where Furbies are sentient beings. And if they saw what Look Mom did to Furbies, they would be totally freaked out, right?
Or they just looked up Long
Here-
Furby on Google.
Yeah. Right?
Here's a very good Long Furby. I have a preference for creepy Long Furbies. So there's one in the Twitch chat for everybody to check out if you really want to know about a Long Furby.
I'm gonna regret this. Oh yeah, that
yeah.
one.
Are these
yeah.
mostly stuffed
That's my
animals,
favorite
though, or
Long
they
Furby.
actually have like moving Furbies inside of them? That, like,
They
laugh and
start
dance
with a
and shit?
Furby, and I think it really depends on how you feel like DIYing your Long Furby, honestly. But I mean,
Oh, okay.
imagine Look Mom No Computer could build a Long Furby keytar that spits fire, and the Furby is the strap.
Ooh.
There's like 1,000 things you
And
can do with a Long Furby.
install a D-beam. Or in
There-
this case, the gestural laser controller.
I know what X is thinking. There's actually 1,001 things you can do to a Long Furby.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can have one.
They're gonna eat it, but I'm gonna have one.
All right, so I'm looking at Long Furbies. I did Google it, and it's hysterical and crazy. And all I can think is the Furby is shouting, "Moneo! Bring me another Duncan!"
They are, in fact, the God Emperor of Furbies.
Yes. That is totally what's going on here. This Furby one point said, "My skin is not my
It is
own."
covered with sand trout.
Yeah, or fruit roll-ups, depending on which version.
You know,
They ran out of money.
you know, they had to hire the X-Men guy.
Oh, they broke him out. They had him before.
Yeah,
in
they did.
X-Men.
Fair enough.
The X-Men got the Dune guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So the
right,
laser, you can also it also has its own little lo-fi oscillator in it too, so you can use it as a thing that goes woo. Yeah, it's a little tiny guy. It's kind of neat. Sits on top of most keyboards, and has MIDI, USB, and gate CV as well as audio outputs. Yeah, so it's basically something that you can wave your hand around and make it control various things on your synth.
A couple years ago at NobCon, I bought off the Zeppelin guys.
Oh, yeah, the Zeppelin guys.
They have the kit for the MIDI hand thing with the radar on it, and it's basically like this, except it like barely works.
Oh, this is like a power glove.
No, it's a unit. It's not like you don't wear it. It's like it's just like this. It's like basically a D-beam, but instead of the D-beam, it has like it outputs just MIDI, and then it has like receivers on both sides, and it's using radar.
I think it was like an optical theremin or something like that, basically.
Wow. Robin, you started
So-
getting into hardware synthesizers sort of at the start of the pandemic, didn't you? So you don't have any
correct.
sort of like history or prior beliefs about the D-beam or anything like this. What do you think about this thing?
No. I mean, in theory, I think it's interesting, but I also wonder, again, is it kind of like a one-trick pony? Like that's always what I feel about things like this, where it's like this would be really cool and innovative for the one or two things that it does, but like, what's the longevity of it? Like, and like, so it doesn't seem that like it's not expensive, so it almost seems like it could be worth like throwing $150 in for the experiment or entertainment value, but like long-term worth of it.
I mean, the reason why I think everyone makes fun of D-Beam is because of how hysterically long Roland overcommitted to it. Like whenever, for like at least 15 years, every time they'd reveal a new synth, it would be like, here's our new synth and take a look. It has a super saw algorithm and all these other things. And it's a classic retro synth look. And oh, by the way, it's a fucking D-Beam. And everyone's like, yeah, we know. Because it's been 10 years of D-Beams, man. Yeah. So I'm not even sure everybody actually hated D-Beam. It's just like it got annoying.
More like D-meme.
Yeah.
Yeah. It became a meme, basically. It became something just easy to make fun of for them.
Well, I think that's why marketing is such a crucial thing when it comes to like any type of product. It's like if it has a particular purpose, it's like how you market it is going to influence how successful it's going to be. And it's like if you do something that may have a limited basis, you probably don't want to like put out a large amount of them, not knowing if you're actually going to sell them or not.
But you got to understand, Roland's marketing plan is basically totally random, right? So they don't give it. They don't.
I'm
give
learning
a
that
shit about what people actually want. They just happen to fall ass backwards every now and then to something that's really cool. It's totally like mistaken. They don't really like whenever they try to do something, it comes out stupid. But if you misuse it, it's awesome, right? So what Roland does is like they're just spraying a gun of marketing and everything and trying to like make everything hit the 10, and occasionally it hits. Like if they had anybody in marketing who's paying attention to the market, the second year when they released the 12th product with the D-Beam, they'd be like, sir, people are making fun of the D-Beam. Let's maybe not include it so that our reputation doesn't suffer. But then they went another 13 years releasing them. So clearly they don't care.
I remember
the Roland has just a weird plan.
There was that one piece of gear that Roland made that was literally just a D-Beam and like an oscillator or something like that. And you played it with the D-Beam. I can't remember what the hell it was, but it was ugly. It was dumb.
There was the Alesis Air Effects, and it had oscillators on it. Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe. I can't remember. I'd have to look, and I'm not really that committed.
Yeah, it was a dumb terminal, basically.
Yeah.
All it did was it just, you plugged RCA in and out to it. You couldn't get its tempo sync or control at all via MIDI, and they had like one dial on it, and you would just dial through the different effects. And after the first 10 effects, it was like, here's a triangle wave. I don't know. Here's a square. Fucking play it. I don't know.
Yeah, the Roland D-Beam is just, yeah. So this thing is, and I agree, Robin. This is one of those things where it's just like, it's going to be, it's a shtick, It's a
shtick.
Yeah. Sure.
And that's okay that those exist. It's just a matter of like knowing how much you're going. Like again, it's where your marketing and R&D come in hand and be like, all right, how many of these are actually going to sell? Let's make sure it's at a reasonable price point and that you're not going to overcommit to it. And I can understand what Dan was saying in terms of Roland being a big company. I'm sure like they could take their chances with it because they have a lot of money. Smaller boutique like synth companies can't afford to do that, so they have to be more strategic about that.
Yeah, I'd say about 10 years ago, I bought this Bluetooth device that was a ring, and then you can have it control stuff on your via MIDI. It was a literally. So like you just like, but you would like turn your hand. It was a gestural control kind of thing, and like. That's kind of how I felt about the whole thing. Woo, woo, woo. All right, that's cool. And now what
Jeff,
the fuck
you
am I
said
gonna do
power
with this?
glove earlier. All these things are kind of power glove kind of novel ways. Like maybe tactile control doesn't work. Maybe we could just do it with our fucking hands in the middle of the air. Yeah, like that's gonna do it, right?
There's people who went to
But
too
it's
many
never
raves.
accurate enough.
They're just like, what if we had glow sticks? I am. The one thing I can see this one being pretty cool for having, because the thing that is interesting about the laser one is it has a pretty fine grained sensitivity, it seems like. And so if you think about sort of a theremin has two controls on it. One is like how loud is it, and one is what's the pitch on it, right? So if you quantize a theremin, you can like play it with notes. There's an interesting thing that you could do here, especially like with a really steppy filter, for instance. Like if you had good quantization on this, you could use to really very effectively play a filter, especially like a really steppy one that wasn't as smooth. You could do some pretty neat stuff with it, but I do think it is kind of a case of your applications are going to be fairly limited for a lot of the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go. The laser with a Z. Yep, it's
They're gonna sell shitloads of
100
those. You'll be hysterical.
$150.
Let's buy one. Let's get a community chest together and buy one and crack it open and see if there's actually a DB in there, because that would be hysterical. If it was just Roland takes the mask off and they're like, "We had extra stock. We need to sell through them." Okay.
Oops, all D-beams.
It's the guy from the '80s who ordered the
character.
Yes, Scooby-Doo.
Exactly. He just rips it off. I just needed to sell through, or I was going to get fired. Right. It's the same guy from the '80s who said, "Yes, let's buy 2 million of these."
Yep. On to more useful things. Our good friends over...
More iPad love.
I know, right? More iPad love. Our good friends at Moog introduced the Animoog Z, the upgrade to the original Animoog. And one of the things that they're doing now is they're also like dumping these things out as VST wrappers too, so you can actually use it with a DAW on a computer as well. So folks that...
Upgrade.
Right? So folks that don't
2Ds.
know...
Double dose of pimping.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you tell us about it then? So the Animoog is...
Sorry.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
It's got a Z-axis just like a D-beam does.
It does.
And you can like control all this shit too. It's awesome.
It is.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it's a polyphonic synthesizer, 16 voices. It has a what they're calling an anisotropic synth engine, and so basically it's kind of like a visualizer and stuff like that. And you can move it around with your fingers and stuff, and it affects the various parameters in the synthesizer as you're moving those little bitty buys around. And it sounds really, really good. And the guys that develop these for Moog come up with like some fantastic ideas and always put in some cool little Easter eggs. Like the original Animoog, they shoved MPE in there before anyone knew what it was, because it was the same guy that did the software development for the Linstrument, was the primary developer on the Animoog.
No shit. I did not know that.
That's cool.
So they snuck that shit in there, so that way when you got your Linstrument, you can plug it right in there, and it immediately would be MPE supported and everything like that. So that was
that's cool.
that was a clever little thing. So they do that kind of stuff, and and it's fun to use. The interface is delightfully creative because it invites you to play with it. It doesn't look like anything that you can be scared of. I mean, and it brings you joy, as you can tell by Dan's face when he's just pressing a button. He just like
It's delightful.
Yeah.
I agree. I've been playing with it.
It's absolutely
It's fun.
delightful. You don't even need to sequence it. Just play it right on your iPad. It's just absolutely tons of fun. The keys are all like they're like how the Osmosis could be, where if you play them on one bottom and then you move up, it actually sends some kind of control signal to it that's mapped to something. So it's like has an iPad version of Aftertouch. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and that's what
Got a lot of the presets. Oh, good.
No, good.
A lot of the presets on this one were done by Lisa Belladonna too, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
So she did a lot of the sound design for the Z version.
Which I just saw
She's
Lisa
great.
Belladonna on Friday.
Oh, nice.
She played.
You did end up going.
I ended
That's
up going, and the opening bands were really, 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 really bad. And
Some things never change.
And I was so tired by the time Lisa Belladonna came on. I stayed for like 3 songs and then I left because I was so tired.
Are you kidding
I was
me?
so fucking tired. I was really. And you know what? I'm at that age now where I'm like, why can't they have earlier shows? I mean, I'm in bed by 11
I agree
o'clock
with
most
that.
of the time, so just like
Motherfucker, have you never heard of a nap? God
I
damn
can't
it.
nap. I try. I wake up at 5 in the morning and I can't nap.
All right. Well, the other thing you could do is before you go to the show, smoke some crack.
I'm fresh out.
Restock.
Oh, Slaughterhouse just got his Poly on Poly 2. He's unboxing it.
Ooh.
Slowly and
Very
sexily,
cool.
I would imagine. So yeah, the Animoog is really cool. It's free. You can you can buy additional stuff for it that gives you a bit more hoopa for like $10. It's still a hell of a deal for a ridiculously powerful synthesizer.
Yeah.
So for $10, you can actually unlock all the features. So the base version of it, you could just use presets and what's on the orbs panel. Then there's expansion packs for like another $5, and there's 3 of them. That's still pretty cheap. You're basically spending $25 total for something that is totally delightful. But if you only ever get the free one, it's still totally worth it because it's just a blast.
It's still a hell of a lot
Totally
of fun.
agree.
So if you have an iPad or iPhone or,
Get it.
you know, actually anything, because there's a VST wrapper for it too. So you can put it on your computer and use it that way too. Yeah, you can all the Moog stuff, they put a VST wrapper on them now. So you can put them all on your computer and they're all free. So that's kind of cool. Hey, Actitect, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, that's a huge upgrade for this one, letting people use it, you know, with right in their DAW with whatever controller they want. It's big.
Yeah. We just lost Dan. He's just me playing with that all night.
I do this all the time, right? It's a really good, satisfying, hey, I have 10 minutes, I don't have shit else to do, and I don't want to doom scroll Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think I've sat through a conference call last week while playing with it. So hopefully, no one at work is on this stream. No.
Everyone's like, you forget to mute, and everyone's like, wow, like groovy music, though.
Right?
It's way better than elevator music we always hear.
Right? Is someone on hold right now?
Thanks,
Yes, Brian Eno. Inky the Cat says, we're awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, Inky, how you? Probably like 3 a.m.
Where's Inky out of?
She is in UK.
Very good. Wow.
My understanding of geographic knowledge of the UK is I'd never really understand
That's
it,
cool.
actually. Because there's like UK, you could be Welsh, and that's sort of there, but also not. There's also Ireland, which is actually part of Great Britain.
No, only part
And then Great
of
Britain
it is.
also the entire world sometimes
Only
too.
part of Ireland is
like
part of the Great Britain. Thank you very
crazy.
much.
I know there's another part that is, and then Scotland, even though there's that entire movie about freedom
They're still part of the
for
UK.
Scotland, they're still part of the fucking UK. I found out.
You mean to tell me that Mel Gibson didn't sort that out?
Never did.
Yeah, for years
Personally.
I was like, Scotland is its own country, but it turns out that they're just a semi-autonomous state of Great
You know, it's bad
Britain.
when you got like Mel Gibson and Liam Neeson all failing to fuck that shit up. Because even Liam Neeson helped out Ireland. You know, he was Michael Collins, and so
Yeah, Northern Ireland is still part of Great Britain, but there's another part of Ireland, and that is
The
an independent
Republic.
country. So
Yeah.
at least part of Ireland got it right. Probably the Bono part, now I think about it.
yeah. Oh, Cornwall. Okay. Nice. I know where that is.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that would be 3 a.m. That's
Yeah. Up early or up
that's
late.
late.
So yeah, the Moog, Animoog Z iPad app, and VST wrapper. If you have a computer, if you have an iPad, there's really no reason not to buy one because it's free, and have some fun with it. Then you too can be like Dan Kushner and just play it.
It's amazing. Just touching it sounds good.
I get that a lot.
No, you don't.
It's true.
Go get some cookies and cry in the shower. No, this is like, it's so easy to make something that sounds good and is delightful. It must be how DJs feel just playing other people's music.
Oh.
And Dan's gone. And-
Just kidding.
Is that the Skype version of a mic drop?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask
It
that.
is, yes. I practiced it earlier by mistake because my wife called, but then I was like, okay, I can use this.
Cherry Audio heard us complaining last time that they failed to get us news.
They did. Our non-sponsors, Cherry Audio.
You're
Yeah, we don't have sponsors, but if we did, it would probably be Cherry Audio because we fucking talk about them every week or every other week when we're on.
Interesting. Before we get to this, I need to know why you talk about Cherry
Because they
Audio
always
every
have
week.
something that comes
I need
out.
to understand
They're
that.
putting shit out like they vomit out soft synths.
Every week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they do have a pretty good. Well, it's because they're the way they do. You get the Cherry Audio modular, and then everything is just like a microtransaction within it, right? So it's kind of like their platform just to release tons of things. Okay.
Not even just the modular. It's actually like
full-on
the whole
plugins.
whole VSTs, like whole like this is the ARP Quadra, but they've had a crazy run of just like, I mean, it was they did the Polymoog, they did the Space Echo, they did the Juno. It was just like a run of these things, and
Yeah,
like
it's
every
like
2 weeks there was a new one.
Yeah, so
and now we have the ARP
and it was always
Quadra.
like a couple of days before the show.
Interesting.
They would release something, so we started joking that they're clearly not sponsoring us or non-sponsors.
You're non-sponsor.
Yeah.
Gotcha. My feelings about Cherry are a little bit mixed. So I did install their modular thing, and there you get like 25 modules for free, and it was pretty cool. It's a VST that you can use in a modular way within any kind of environment that can host VST. That's cool, right? But it's trying to sell you stuff from within the VST. It's not even like you have like I'm looking at the Animoog right now, and there's a button that says store, and I can go to the store and buy stuff. This was like, I mean, it's like it's really trying to like put the sales on you. So it's like, hey, do you like ads while you're making music from your instruments? And so that gave me kind of like a shitty taste. But I think some of the other things they've done that are more standalone, I'm hoping at least they don't have that kind of implementation, because I've heard that some of them are really good. Like I heard the Juno
the
106
is really
awesome.
good. Inky the Cat, thanks for following, by the way. Appreciate it.
You'll regret it.
Wait till Christmas. Yeah, so the Quadra, and I've got a chance to listen to this, and I also watched some reviews on it. And I don't know much about the original ARP Quadra, but this thing sounds fucking ridiculous. It's really good
Yeah,
sounding,
very
and for
good.
$39,
I know a decent amount of the ARP Quadra.
no,
It never really hit because it was always broken. So it never became a classic vintage synthesizer because no one fucking, even like rich rock stars who always buy stupid shit, even Papa John never had an ARP Quadra that worked really well because they always overheated, and they were really ahead of the game. But sometimes when you're talking about technology, being too far ahead is actually worse, right? So they had the ability to recall patches built onto it, but computing technology at the time really sucked, and so it constantly overheated the thing, was always breaking, it was always really expensive, and so the reputation got really pretty bad pretty quickly for them, and it's one of the reasons why ARP actually went under. David Friend pushed very, very hard for the ARP Quadra to move forward, and they sunk tons of money and investment and lifeblood of the company into it, and it's probably one of the main reasons why ARP folded. And
yeah,
it was probably an awesome synth, though, is the thing. Like, and it was just like 3 years later that Dave Smith actually was able to take the microprocessor technology that was available and start putting out preset recallable polysynths that didn't have heating issues. Even he ran into it a little bit with the Prophet 10, but he was able to do what the ARP Quadra wasn't earlier. So, and ARP never made it to the point where they had a viable, stable polysynth. So the ARP sound never really became widely associated with a poly, kind of like Moog, although Moog did have the Polymoog, right? But by putting this out, it's kind of like a little bit of a redemption, because hey, here's this awesome vintage synth that just never took root. You know, everybody got into CS80 and the other polysynths that were available, then Prophets and the Korgs, and this one should have had its day in the sun, and it just didn't. Consequently, it feels somewhat modern, even though it's allegedly got this vintage heritage, because the vintage heritage never happened. There's no albums with an ARP Quadra that really kicked ass, except I think Weather Report had one. Zamanul played one. on a Weather Report album way back in the day.
Cool.
He didn't go on tour with it, but so it made it onto one classic jazz album that most people who really like that style listen to, and Jocko's killing it on the album. But other than that, it doesn't have. No one's like, wow, I remember that ARP Quadra sound. So it's got like something new to explore to it, even though it's very much rooted in history. I think that's fantastic that they brought
And
it
Papa
back.
John bought the one off of him. That's why he didn't tour with it. And then he spilled the garlic sauce on it, and that's why it overheated.
And if you
and then
he had it, and then if you know the secret way to open the Eagle clock tower in the middle of his mezzanine
Lair.
You set the hands on the clock to say 4:20, and then it opens, because that's when most of his business happens. Because you have to be wasted to buy his stupid fucking pizza.
Well, it is popular amongst the stoners. Hey. But anyway, yeah, the Cherry Audio ARP Quadra plugin, $39 introductory price. If anyone from Cherry Audio is watching, we do accept sponsorship, considering that we pimp y'all out to our 12 fans every other week. And then Synthstrom should also sponsor us too.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you've gotten money
I
from
did.
Synthstrom.
Me too. It was like $12.
Yep.
Good.
It was like
That was nice of them, though.
$50.
Yeah.
They're a good company. I like them.
It's probably still on rotation on their channel.
I know they haven't really updated their channel much lately. They haven't been doing much on it because they've been too busy working on the new software update, which is not official news, but for our show here. But it is in. They're planning on releasing the beta for the new firmware in the next couple weeks. They just announced on their forum page. So there's a sign up area if people want to go and do that. Yes, which means that the new firmware will be coming out probably, I would say, about 4 months from now, and that is giving us a lot. They're giving a new synth engine, so we're getting wavetable in that little guy. They're doing ping pong sequencing and Euclidean sequencing and like other crazy shit like that. So they're about to add more, which means get ready to spend the $30 for an overlay for your Synthstrom Deluge, which is well worth the price for what you're getting.
Yeah. I love when companies continue to update and add things to their products. I think it's great to be able to support things like that. There does come a point where maybe they should just break it out and make it into a new product or make a 2.0 as well.
Yeah.
Like what the AFX station for Base Station 2, they knew when they released that firmware that no one's going to remember that shit. Some people, but basically no one, like everyone has like a cheat sheet, right? So they released the AFX station version of it. And it's just a new cosmetic version, but it has all the new, so the key pressings are right in front of you so you can see it. And at some point, even like an overlay isn't going to help. Like maybe you need to, like what Electron did when they did Octatrack 2.0. Maybe now you have enough features that you need a few new buttons. So
well, if you look at
the
the face on the Deluge, there are still some blank spaces on there as of right now. So yeah. So
really?
So
cool.
basically, you can get an overlay, or you can spend the $50 and get a whole new front case, and then just slap it on there. And these things are very user friendly as far as like assembly and disassembly. When your battery dies inside the thing, they just tell you to go to a vape store and buy a vape battery because that's what they use, and they tell you how to pop the bads. But
no shit,
they last 6 hours per charge. So
that's cool.
I'll definitely be buying the actual the hard front case thing because I want to order a couple sets of buttons.
Yeah, same.
Too.
You can also send them. I know they'll do like the refresh if you're feeling really saucy, where they like clean it all up and stuff like that, and they replace all the entire case. I think it's like $200. And they'll like fix whatever buttons might be getting kind of weak and stuff, and they'll run it through a whole test and everything, and give you new end cheeks on there and stuff.
Yep.
Your buttons are weak. Your bloodline is weak.
Your mother
and you won't survive the winter. Savage.
So next up on here is the free Valhalla Supermassive Reverb/delay unit has been updated and is still free. And they've introduced 2 new reverb modes in there. As they say, it got supermassiver. So I think most people should have this because it's fucking free, and it's good sounding.
It's like one of the best free things I've ever gotten.
It's such a good reverb.
It's crazy. It's like it's a really good reverb. Really tweakable too. You can play it like it's not just like a set it and forget it kind of reverb. You don't throw this on your send and use it to add space. It's kind of like Night Sky more than Big Sky if you're comparing it to Strymon stuff in the hardware world. This is something that does special things that you're going to want to tweak in order to get creative results. So I just learned in the show that they're doing 2 new ones.
Yep.
New
so they have
That's
2
kinda
new
awesome.
ones. One's called Orion and one's called Cassiopeia. And they are really, really tweakable, apparently, from what I'm reading here. You can just go on, read the story yourself if you want to. They're weird, tricky reverb and delay algorithms. And welcome you to explore it. But yeah, this is probably one of the better reverb plugins out there, hands down, paid or free or otherwise. And it's incredibly easy to use, and it's just a blast to play with.
Yep.
I've used it like as an OBS plugin occasionally for like vocal effects and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
They have a few things that are free, like their space modulator.
The space modulator. You have to say it like you're Marvin.
Yeah, they have the Freak Echo, and I think that's it.
Yeah, they have 3. There are 3 of them that are free.
I've used Supermassive the most, but I have used their space modulator a bit. I haven't used the other one really.
Yeah, they're all pretty good, but Supermassive is the best. I should probably give them $50 for another one just because of how much I've actually enjoyed using Supermassive for free. I feel almost like it would be like, even if I never use it, you ever get something for free and it starts to like be like, man, this was totally worth, $40. I should toss them something. I wonder if they have anything else. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud.
Shimmer sounds really good. I've heard some really cool stuff done with that one. And the vintage verb is also really cool.
Yeah, Shimmer probably will be the winner. I do not have a Shimmer on my computer.
So the people who are watching, if you listen very carefully to the key taps that Dan Kushner is typing in, you might be able to figure out his credit card number.
Yeah, I have a mechanical keyboard, and it's got the loud clicky keys, so I don't know if that helps or doesn't. Well, all right. Well, let me get your credit card number out again.
Good. It's 123.
Yeah, you shouldn't have bought that pizza at Notcon.
You bought the pizza at Notcon.
Not that pizza. The other pizza. The Papa John's pizza. You saw the charges.
Much like the porn, they can't prove that.
All right. Thanks.
So yeah, go get it, folks, because it doesn't cost anything, and it's a killer reverb. It's probably, like I said, probably one of the best ones out there, and it's free, as in beer.
It is.
Next up on our list, the ever affordable Waldorf M synthesizer, going for a mere $1,800.
$1 million.
The firmware just got updated to 1.06. Justin threw this up on here, and this is why I punched him in the face, or had him punched in the face. So for those that don't know, the M is a hardware wavetable synthesizer. That's kind of like, basically it's the continuation of the old Waldorf microwave. It's very pretty looking. It's kind of neat. It's also really expensive.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. This thing's really expensive. So we are in the era of the hardware wavetables again, right? And so here's kind of what I mean. Waldorf has the history with the microwave, and then going back to PPG, right? Even though that it was a different company name, it was Palm, but the price on this is really expensive, and it's a digital synth. They have another one out. It's the Iridium and the Quantum, and so those are even more fully featured, and those are kind of like from what I've understood, like they're not that fun to play with, but you can get very powerful ranges of sounds off of that. So that their idea with this was to really make this the successor to the microwave, but add in some of that power back and try to compete with like Hydrosynth. And that's all well and good. It's so, but there it has an analog filter. I just don't know that a desktop is worth $800, $900 more, $800, 800 bucks more for this. Wait, it's 700 for $900 more. That just seems like a significant amount of additional dollars for basically maybe heritage. I just don't see it bringing too much extra to the table except the analog filter. So I'm kind of conflicted about it. It sounds pretty good when I've heard it. It does sound really awesome. It just seems like it's missing a market. I mean, if you're going to go for a Waldorf and you want to go with the most high-end sound device possible, you're going to get the Quantum Iridium, not this. If you're going to go for something like this, well, I mean, you have the Modwave and the Hydra that are probably at that same power level or even more advanced, arguably. They just don't have the lineage to the microwave. So I'm always mixed on Waldorf. I appreciate that they're doing stuff, but there's never been a Waldorf product that I had to have. They've never hit a sweet spot.
I had a Blofeld for a while and I liked it, but it didn't really do that much for me. You know, in the end, it was like I didn't like the interface and I didn't like how weird and quirky the malfunctioned, especially when you're doing things.
Yeah, I hear
well, it had a lot of promise to it. So you had like the idea of like this, $600 synth that had like 16 voices and stuff like that, and had that was multi-timbral and all this other stuff, but it just did not play out the way that you would hope it would. It was buggy as hell, and it was just kind of
the multi-timbrality is like I mean, I don't really personally care that much about multimbrality, but that to me, if you were into that, is like the only feature that really made the Waldorf Blofeld totally worth it. The two Waldorf products I like, one of them, this should tell you how much I like Waldorf stuff. I don't even remember the name of it, but the Strike.
I kept looking at that, yeah.
I like the keyboard version better because it's got the vocoder in there, and the vocoder sounds really good.
And there's another one that's in a similar form factor that oddly sounds good, but I totally forget its name. That I'm looking.
Oh, is that
right now,
that little analog one that you came out with?
Yeah, it's super small. It looks like it's discontinued, whatever it was, because it's not even listed on their website. But I like that guy.
No,
Q or something. It wasn't the Q.
Q's way out of date. So Inky the Cat asked who the hell we people are because she missed out the beginning of the show, I guess. So I'm Andrew. I'm X Studios. Next to me is Robin, who's Toto Robin. Down here, sitting in my lap, is Jeff. I can't pronounce his name.
Glad I'm not sitting in your lap.
Jeff's glad.
It's basically just a chair that does nothing. Like a dog.
Bong, 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 bong.
Like a chair dog. Chog.
And is that how do you pronounce that, Jeff? Semnica. So yeah, and we all do stuff and stream and we're all music nerds and we talk about this stuff and it's fun. Andrew, not Andre.
And who the fuck is that?
She knows
guy?
who Dan is. She was asking. She already knew who you were. So fuck you.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's about what I expect from you.
So yeah, the Waldorf firmware 1.06 gives you another digital filter to bring even more vintage charm, and it's based after. No.
Oh, so wait, hold on.
What? What?
According to Aberrant, it's Waldorf, not Waldorf. We're saying
okay. So anyway, Waldorf.
Waldorf,
like the salad, not like the German guy.
Waldorf. Apparently, the salad is supposed to be Waldorf.
You're incorrect.
I got corrected pretty hard on the the Synthfest Reestern commentary.
I love the Waldorf. Firmware, is that right then? So we're talking about the firmware. The firmware. So apparently that it does all kinds of goofy stuff. Yeah. They introduced the Asic Bug, so it does weird stuff as far as that's concerned. Apparently, with the Asic Bug.
The Asic Bug.
There's a. It says between the mixer output and the analog VCF, there's this thing that you can do, and you can turn it on and off on the filter, and apparently it attenuates a signal at 12 dB, and then when the bug comes in, it overdrives it up to clipping levels. So I guess that's a feature that you had back in the day with the microwaves.
Is that like a? So yeah, was that like a microwave like bug, and they just like, let's make this into a classic thing, but no one was really asking for it?
I think that actually that was one of the things about the microwaves that made it so popular with certain styles of music, industrial EBM, that kind of thing.
It was popular with certain styles of music.
Yeah, well, yeah. The microwave was big with like in the German EBM scene and stuff like that in the 90s.
That's just because it was out at the same time as that was peaking, right? Or did one have to?
It had a sound. I mean, it had a certain sound to it that you definitely hear in a lot of like that stuff. In like Wumpscut and How Job and those guys would use these things, and it just had this kind of screechy, angry sound to it that was kind of fun.
How Job. Sorry. That's a great name. It's hysterical.
You never heard How Job?
I'm not.
They're fucking fantastic. It's from the German translation of Blade Runner when they called the replicants skin jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I feel stupid.
Well, good. I'm doing my how job. I'm funny. Anyway. So yeah, the microwave has that certain weird sound to it. And now you can get that sound for only like $2,000.
Yep. It seems
It
like
really
a
does.
quite a price.
You're gonna sell like hotcake.
Oh yeah. Singular.
Yeah,
The one.
Only one on game.
No one we know is gonna have this.
No. One hotcake to rule them all.
No, it's I had a Waldorf Kyra.
You had a
and
Waldorf
it's,
Kyra? I'm fascinated.
I
Tell me
did.
more.
It's probably one of the easily one of the very best sounding synthesizers that I've ever heard. It's also one of the worst devices I've ever owned to use. And when I'm saying one of the worst devices I've ever owned to use, what I mean is, of all of the electronic devices, music making, dishwashers, digital air compressors, everything that I have
Basically,
ever touched of devices,
all
it was
the
one
same.
of the worst of them. It is by far the worst synthesizer I have ever had to use. It had all sorts of completely bizarre quirks. It would eat 8 MIDI channels. It ate MIDI channels 1 through 8. You could not change that.
Like
There's
if you had
no-
anything else
that
on
was
MIDI
what it
channel
did.
1 through 8, it would get it. You just couldn't get off that.
Then,
Like, you got to give it
yes,
its own
that
MIDI
was what it would
port
do.
altogether if you want to use 9 other synths.
Yes, you had to give it its own MIDI port. It was running on 1 through 8, and it had 4,096 waveforms. You sorted through them by tapping. It had no rotary encoder wheel. You had to use these buttons. It had things that were that should have been together. I can't remember any specific examples at this point, but like the amp and filter envelope, I think, were in different places on the device. It was just completely bizarre. Everything about the UI for it was absolutely bonkers. Just it was borderline unusable. It would take me you could make some truly incredible patches on it, but I mean a patch that I could like let's just say like a relatively simple patch, like something that I could have put together on either the Hydrasynth or it it would have taken 10 times as long.
Sorry, continue. Bitch Nuggets chat. Someone's named Bitch Nuggets in chat.
He was.
No, I'm sorry. That's pronounced Beach Nuggets, I believe.
It's from the
It's German.
Vichy Friesen of Germany. It's Beach Nuggets.
Beach Nuggets. He was
Otherwise-
coming
Yeah,
to talk about
Sparkling dry
Waldorf and
nuggets.
their firmwares.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was it. But I mean, it did some really cool things. It had really high multi-timbrality too, and the multi-timbrality was implemented in a pretty interesting way where you could layer it really nicely or break it out, and that was cool. But it was just an absolute bastard to use.
It was
So I
like
sold it.
really expensive too.
Yeah.
It was very expensive. Yeah. It was my purpose in buying it was I really wanted a virus, Access virus, but
Yep.
I didn't want to get a virus because it had been abandoned and the chip that runs the virus has gone out of production. And so it felt to me like getting the chip or getting the virus was just basically sort of buying a ticking time bomb. And they were
They
also
really
they're
are,
also
to this
quite
day.
expensive.
They still are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was saying, well, you know, I don't know if it's better or worse than a virus, but it's very, very close to the virus. And ultimately, I do actually think it sounds better than the virus. It's definitely worse to use. It didn't have a keyboard model, which is nonsense for me. I want keys on my synths. And yeah, I don't know. It was a weird sense. I took a bath on it.
When I saw
sold
the
it.
Cairo, it
It
was
not
really
easy to sell.
fascinating. I remember like when it was the Valkyrie. Was that what it was called originally?
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
watching when they were talking about that, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, this is going to be like the new, you know, the virus. It's got the FPGA, so it's going to be faster and it's going to be cool and blah, 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 blah. And then when it came out and they had it at NobCon the one year, I played it and I'm like, this is stupid. This is dumb. I hate this thing so much. And I'm glad I didn't, you know, save my pennies and buy it, because it was a very disappointing piece of gear in the end. And I think didn't they use the exact same shell
Yeah.
for like one of their other pieces of gear too, like the same case? Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened. The Iridium and the Kyra used the same shell, and the man who had developed the Kyra, so it wasn't actually built by Waldorf. It was built by another.
No, they like helped
another
them out, or
dude,
you
and then
licensed
Waldorf.
them to do it or something.
They bought
Yeah.
the design from him essentially and finished it. But by finished it, what became really super apparent was Waldorf had this physical shell that was the Iridium, and they had, you know, some design conventions that they had in mind that were going to be the Iridium, and they took the Valkyrie and they kind of like hacked it up Frankenstein style, and they fit it in this box. And then what you're left with is a very hodgepodge instrument. Like, it probably would have been much better if it had not been hacked
Yeah.
apart to fit into that system.
I've heard that it also was very much unfinished.
Yeah.
Like even though there are encoders, they didn't actually ever get around to implementing MIDI CC, so you couldn't control it with an external device or automate it at all, which is absolutely a crime at that price point. But then again, at that price point, they probably didn't sell enough to justify throwing further resources at making it better, which is kind of shitty for everyone who mistakenly bought one. It did sound really good, though. I played it the same year it was at NobCon. It sounded awesome.
It sounded good, but the
it was
interface was horrible.
I just used it as like a preset machine I only played it for like a half hour, but I just like scrolled through presets and looked for the filter on it, right? Like, and even that was kind of in a weird spot. There was nothing that I enjoyed about tweaking it, but I was impressed with how good the op amps sound. It was really clean. It didn't feel digital at all.
Yeah. It just sounded expensive.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's a contrast to some other digital synths, especially other digital wavetable synths that have come out since then, or even came out at the same time, because those feel digital and are shamelessly digital, and they're trying to be digital, and they don't care about being analog. Whereas that one straight up was like, I'm VA. I think it was a wavetable too, but like the feel and play of it was more like a VA.
Well, I remember because I went there and I was really excited that they were going to have it there, and I was going to be like, this is going to be so cool to play it, and blah 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 blah. And then what stole the show was the Hydrasynth.
Hydra, yeah.
Yeah, because that was the year that the Hydrasynth
that was the surprise release of the Hydrasynth.
Yep.
Was it NobCon?
Was at NobCon, and playing that, it just blew my fucking mind, and then that was the end of that, and I just didn't give a shit about the Kyra.
Yeah,
you know?
and everyone who was like excited for Kyra was like, okay, for $700 I can just get that thing. It's
yeah,
anyway.
Exactly. You know,
It is
and
better.
I still don't have a Kyra, but I've got the Hydrasynth, you know, and I love that.
Have you
thing.
got a Hydra yet, Robin?
I'm so close. It's like on my like top 3 of getting. It's
What's your
so
top
close.
It'd go really well with an analog rhythm.
Truth.
You don't happen to have one of those,
Saying.
do you? Continues to, budget.
You don't need to eat.
What's your top
You
3?
don't need to eat.
Right now, between the Hydrasync desktop, the subsequent 37, honestly, those are the 2 right now. Those are what I like, because the Deluge would have been the other one, but that's now acquired.
Cool.
Blaming Ix.
Yeah,
Glad I can help.
it's
I mean, yes, thank
it's a good mixture. Getting a sub 37 and getting the Hydra, or getting the analog rhythm, because you're kind of bringing best of both worlds to the table. So you will have a vast, expansive range with just 2 synths. It's a good
That's
combo.
what That's what I like. I just like having different synths doing different things, and it's like there's certain days where I just would be like, I'm feeling in the mood for this particular thing. I will just take this one synth out, play it with some type of drum machine, and just do that. That's very satisfying to me.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Iggy says, "Who doesn't want a Hydra?" Yeah, I make fun of Ix because on the show, at some point, every single time, people are like, "Oh, yeah, I gotta get a Hydra." At some point,
I've had 2 of them
you've had 2.
so far. I bought the desktop and I liked it so much that I bought the keyboard.
Okay, that makes way
Installed
more
the
sense. I'm
desktop.
still in Papa John had 40 pizzas mode.
I just liked them so much I just started stacking them up.
Wearing them like pants.
I would actually consider buying a second. It's on our list here, and weirdly we have completely run ourselves out of time. So one of the things that is on the list though is the Udo desktop, and I would actually kind of consider buying the desktop to go with the keyboard and expand it.
Yeah, so you have a keyboard behind you. That's pretty sick. I like it.
It is the best synthesizer. It is literally the best synthesizer.
Better than Waldorf Kyra.
Better than Fire. So I was looking at it, and I was in competition for a few things, and ultimately I chose it over a Moog
Well, that
1.
makes sense. I would pick that over a Moog
It's
1.
better than the Moog 1. It sounds better than the Moog 1. It sounds better than any other synth I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's a very good synth.
And cheap
Strong
too.
recommendation.
Comparatively,
Moog 1.
Compared to a Moog 1.
I don't think it's
Perspective.
priced poorly.
No.
I think that it brings a lot to the table. It's certainly a premium instrument. You're not, getting a cheap poly there. It's not like the Dreadbox Nymphes.
Right.
It's premium in every single
Oh, yeah.
way. But I mean, even the desktop is what, can be like 1,600 or something. It's way more affordable.
The desktop is barely any less. It's actually, it might be about 1,600, but it's only a couple hundred bucks less than the keyboard version. But it's crazy because the Super 6
the desktop is
is
$2,400.
it looks
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not much less than the keyboard version. It's crazy because it looks very simple, and all of the controls of it are on the face, but it is
Nice.
remarkably powerful. It is way more powerful than it has
the
any
whole
right to be.
binaural piece of it makes it significantly harder for it to pull off everything the way it does. It's really awesome. To do it on the Matriarch, it starts at the filter and it goes to the amp, and then out from that to the delay. But if you wanted to take that all the way back to the oscillator section, you're basically doing 2 synths.
That's how it
Right.
works. It is basically two
And
cents.
this one is basically, it's 2 synths. It's literally 2 synths, one for your left channel, one for the right channel, and they operate in ways that affect each other.
Yeah, I have a Matriarch too, and it you can't get the same kind of effect out of it.
Oh, it's different. Yeah. This one, it starts at the actual oscillator level, which means you have phase differences that'll happen from left to right if you do nothing but play 2 square waves.
Yep.
It's going to create a stereo field.
Yep. You can actually control how phasey they are too.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. Oh, we covered the Udo desktop story.
I know,
guess,
right? Yeah, we did. There you
buy
go.
it.
Udo Desktop
It's
is
Go
now
buy one.
available.
Went ahead.
Go buy one today for the low price of $2,400.
The latest firmware update, I did finally install the latest firmware on the Super 6 too, and it is very good. It is not yet complete. So for anybody who's buying one of these things or considering it, you should understand that it is actually not feature complete. It's
Like, what's it missing?
It's missing stuff that connects it to the computer mostly. So like on playing it by itself, it's totally fine. I don't use the computer for anything other than recording, so it doesn't matter to me. But for people who do want to be able to do things like heavy duty MIDI CC control or doing that over USB, it is not feature complete yet.
So does it have USB MIDI, or
It does now.
Are you okay? So it's got that. The USB MIDI is only supporting per channel node on, node off, and velocity, or
It's not just that. It does. They now have it where it's a lot more. I think it now controls all of the things that have faders.
okay.
But it doesn't, like, you can't easily change the presets on it unless by clicking buttons. You know, there's still stuff that's happening.
Yeah, everyone has a problem with that though on the PC. Sending program changes via like a custom editor or a Mac's device, everyone fucks that up. It always, every single one of them I've ever tried, like introduces weird glitches and latency that doesn't really work. Sometimes there's a first party editor that comes out, like the Sub 37 has it, and it's beautiful and buggy as shit. Like, why does that thing work so poorly? It only works like half the time.
Yeah.
So you're almost better off just like figuring out what your favorite CCs are, and if you use Ableton, just building up like a row of it and not worrying too much about it. And if you need to change the preset, just get up and walk over to it.
Yep. It's not that big of a deal at all.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what's next?
What's next?
Sorry,
That's
we
okay.
went out of order.
That's okay. Well, we covered that. So we got this little story about the Sine Vibes Korg Logue plugin.
Oh, it's the WoW Flutter, yeah.
Yes, the wow and flutter effects for your Korg Logue synthesizers. So if you need some tape machine emulation for your any of the newer of the Logue series, I hate the term Logue series, but I don't know what else to call these things.
The pitch log.
Yes, the mini Logue or the maxi Logue or the whatever they call these things.
It's the professional Logue.
It is.
It's also going to work with probably, I'm guessing, the NTS1, right?
Yes.
I think so, and I think the Op6
Yeah, it
too.
works with the Op6 as well.
Cool.
It works with the Prologue, the Prologue, the Mini Logue, the XD, and the NTS1, and the Op6.
What is it, though? What are we
so
talking
what this
about?
thing is, yeah, and I'm so glad you finally asked me. So basically what this is it's a tape machine emulator. So it gives you wow and flutter effects right in your Logue synth. So if you need some tape effects, and then you can do like things like wobble, so you get that weird, like, you know, something's wrong with your tape recorder sound, which I'm sure that Jeff knows all about, being a Tascam whore that he is.
My tape recorder works just fine. I'll have
So
you
you
know.
like push it at just the right spot, and it goes.
Right.
Yep.
Or if you look at it for too long.
Or if you don't clean the head every time you want to use it.
Yeah.
It's like the happy fun ball.
Except
Yep.
not fun at all. Or have it. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to get some like lo-fi feel to everything and stuff like that, because a little bit of that is basically what that is. It's $20, and if you have any of those synths, then it sounds like it's a cool thing. Apparently, it's one of the best sounding tape emulation plugins for the Logue synths.
It's
Nice.
literally the first time I've ever heard of a synth having an onboard tape emulation plugin.
Yeah, I mean, with those synths, they have like the user creatable plugins and stuff that they can just dump in there, and so someone decided to go nuts with that.
I thought it was just usual creatable oscillators, but there's plugins that people can do too.
I think you can do effects. So it has there's the user oscillator, but I believe you can do effects on it. So it would probably. I didn't dig into exactly how they do this. I have 2 of these synths that it works on, so I guess I should. But it's it looks like the way that they've implemented it is it's maybe replacing one of your existing effects or something.
Yeah, because there's like 2 effects on there usually stock. It comes with delay and reverb. There's a couple algorithms for each. I didn't know those could get changed out. I knew you could put a new oscillator on there, and some of them you have to buy, and sometimes it can go from music.
It might wind up being an oscillator too, and you blend it in, and it does. I can see how you would make that work with this specific kind of effect.
I should get into that. I do have an NTS one. That's like perpetually like 5th on the list of shit I got to do.
All right, we're almost there, guys. A couple more stories.
VCV2.
Next thing is VCV Rack 2.
Robin, did you say you got this one?
No.
I thought somebody posted. I thought you posted.
I don't think it was Robin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about VCV Rack. Yes, I did just get that thing because I was able to find it for $70, so it was kind of a no-brainer.
Wait, what did you get?
The NTS one.
1. Okay, I'm sorry. How you liking it?
Cool.
It just delivered today, so I haven't built it yet.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you have to build that thing.
Yeah.
Build is it's so easy to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the workshop.
It's probably like.
Oh, it's like 6 screws and 2 snaps.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's the work stop.
Like it's not really DIY. It's kind of like a corporate board. It's like they figured out that it might be fun to build something kind of like a Lego thing, but it's not like you're actually soldering something or doing anything DIY at all. It's literally just like putting together a G.I. Joe vehicle.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Does it have decals?
That's the work spot.
I think it does.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's the keyboard.
That's awesome. Well, now you can get this thing and you can have a nice shimmer and wow.
Yeah, that's actually. I'm gonna probably try that.
Yeah.
Why not? All right, so yeah, VCV Rack 2 for folks that are into the modular on your computer.
It looks like a bunch of modules.
It sure does.
I sure don't want it.
I'm trying to get away from modular, and so yeah.
I think that VCV Rack 2 looks awesome. I don't use VCV Rack, so I'm trying to like put myself in the shoes of someone who would and appreciate what they've done for the update, which seems to be pretty substantial. Yes. There's a lot of good kind of like life-based improvements. You can open it as a VST now,
huge important.
Which previously you really couldn't. You had to like bridge it in, which means that you now can use it within compositions as an effect or just as another layer, or master within it. Right? There's a lot of advantages to be able to open VST without having to use some kind of weird hacky bridge wrapper thing. I think VCV Rack is actually pretty awesome. I have my rack on iPad. It was for sale on Black Friday, and apparently I learned this is a port of VCV Rack from a few ago. So they've been forked, so it's a little bit different, but it's really my first experience with it. And what's awesome about it is it's all based off of regular modules, actual ones you could buy, but you don't have to buy them to figure out what you want. Instead, you just play around with it a lot, and you start to figure that out. And then it also dawns on you that it can do some really cool sounds on its own. You don't need to like feel like it's lesser than actually having modules. It is in that you don't have the tactile modules, and it doesn't have the same analog or digital signal path, but at the same time, it's not trying to do that. It's trying to be like a virtual simulation of that. It might even be better for composition, right? If you're actually trying to compose something and use a modular workflow within writing a song and recording it, Well, that sucks for actual modular because you repatch, right? You can't, unless you print right away, you can't like recall it. But with VCV as a VST, you could literally write something, create a patch, and then reopen it when you open up the project, and it'll save the state.
Yep.
That's cool. And that's worth some of the trade-offs by not having it physical, tactile, or being able to hear the full glory and nuance of the analog components versus just what's modeled.
Yep. I agree. If I had, I have some semi-modular stuff that I enjoy, but I like that it's got normal connections and I don't have to futz with it. If I were going to get into modular, which I would get into modular like I would get into shutting my foot in the door, I think. But if I were gonna get into that, I think that would be the way that I would do it.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you play keys? Are you a keyboardist?
I'm okay. I'm not great. I just don't. I don't like having to think about stuff that much.
All right. I can get down with that.
I want to kind of just like, I want to have my knobs and my faders and sit down and find sound that I like, save that sound, and then be able to play it.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like about modular, but I totally understand that. I mean, I come from the same thing. I have a lot of semis. I have a lot of, there's a range. One thing about modular that I didn't realize before I started to really examine it more is one of my preconceived notions about modular was that it was all about experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually not. Instead, part of it is you can actually use it in a very straightforward way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever said, hey, I wonder what, a Yamaha voice running into, a Moog filter or Wasp filter would sound like, and you just couldn't do that before because they, were normaled and the world's never met. So now you can actually start to explore some of those connections that you previously never were able to do. There's something interesting about that.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think probably the biggest thing that I've found appealing to me about modular is the ability to build a drum machine that I don't hate. That would be really cool. I think like building a small modular skiff that is just, it is a drum machine.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think you could do some really neat stuff there because then you could implement there's some things that analog does really well for drums. And then there's some things that analog does really terribly for drums. And then there's other places where samples layered with analog are really the really like the winning combination. And if you could have a drum machine that was sort of like, I don't know, like this is always my kick drum sound, and it just sort of handled it the way that you wanted to with like a layered sample over top of some modular, so you could do it, or over top of analog. I think there's some really neat stuff you could do that way with it, but otherwise.
Okay, so you can do the Krells this year?
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually I already have it set up. It's sitting here playing even as we speak. It's just muted at the moment. So yeah.
Damn, man. When are you starting that up? Isn't that like weeks away?
I'm starting it on Christmas Eve, yeah.
You patched something for a stream that is like 23 days away?
I was bored on Sunday, so I just decided to put it together.
Doesn't that mean you can't use your modular between now and then without learning it?
I don't use my modular very much. Yeah, actually, I'm getting rid of most of my modular. I put together the Krell patch with a no coast.
With just one no coast?
Oh, wow.
It's not a complex patch. Well, it is kind of. You want to see it? I can hold it up to you. I have it right.
I'm not going to know what the hell I'm looking at.
No, it's not. The thing that makes it sound really good is running it through like the Rainmaker delay and that kind of thing that makes it really insane sounding and stuff. But yeah, no, I have it sitting here. It's just running. I get a kick out of the fact that it's just running and just generating weird sounds and stuff. And I'll just come down here and turn it on when I'm, when I'm working and stuff. So yeah.
Womber wants me to say it's complex. It's complex.
There you go. So yeah, I'll be doing the Carol of the Krell like I do every Christmas weekend. Well, actually, I'm not doing it. The No Coast will be doing Carol of the Krell. I'm just going to be broadcasting it for the entire weekend without being near it. I might stop in once in a while to play at the chat room if anyone's in there. But I know that the first time I did it, there was one guy who listened to the entire time. He was like,
It's like when you talk to him, you're like, he was like, yeah, it was awesome. It was like 36
it was Moonhouse. No, not Moonhouse. No, I'm sorry, not Moonhouse. Earth Moon. Yeah. Like he drove to he rented, he had a cabin that he drove to for the holidays, and he put it on in the car and drove like through a snowstorm and had it playing during Christmas and everything like that. I'm like, your family must have fucking hated you.
Yeah. It's hysterical how much it seems like you don't really like the Krell patch either.
You know what? I think it's really cool. I love the idea and the concept of this whole like generative, teaching the machines to sing kind of thing. But I don't really listen to it like during the holidays. I turn it on. I sit there for like an hour and just like, this is kind of cool. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go do something else. And just like, if anyone shows up, it's more of like the shtick of having a stream of this thing playing itself for 96 hours straight.
Oh, who was it that used to do a stream like that? Fuck, I'm forgetting his name. He's not around anymore, but giant modular rig. Anyway, he used to play World of Warcraft, and he would have his modular rig behind him, and you'd hear the music of the modular and him talking, but you'd be able to watch him playing World of Warcraft. And if you like tipped him, he would wiggle a knob, and then that would slowly change everything on the modular, and then he'd go back to playing World of Warcraft.
Nice.
It was literally just like wiggle a knob, and it would change over time the entire timbrality of what was happening.
That's cool.
Apparently someone makes fun of me
What else
because
we got?
I do the Krell patch thing. Whatever, fuck them. Yeah. All right, so VCV. Oh, Isla.
Isla or Isla?
Isla, I don't know.
Brad stops into my streams sometimes. Do you see? Yeah, if you see him in there, say hi. He stopped by a couple times now. It's pretty cool.
Well, I pre-ordered an S2400.
Cool.
Then I spent $1 billion treating a cat for cancer, and I canceled my pre-order.
Oh, man.
And then I redid my pre-order. And so I'm very excited because my S2400 should ship in the next few days. Brad put up this video that was supposed to be a 5-minute video, but it was 13 hours and 5 minutes long. And he had written this update on Instagram. He's like, I got a lot of news and a bunch of stuff to get off my chest. And the only audio to this video is hop, and then it cut off. And then it was 5 minutes and 13 hours long. 5 minutes was video, 13 hours looked to be just like blank screen, and there was nothing there. And so everybody was kind of like losing their minds on Instagram, and then it popped up on YouTube. And so the update basically said that all of the S2400s are now here, and they're being unloaded off the van. So they're here. They're going to have a few more for sale for anybody who wants to get one. The price is going up on Monday. They didn't say by how much. I imagine it's going to be pretty substantial. I imagine the price hike will probably be between $500 and $1,000 is my guess. Like, I think it's going to be a large price hike. Because the price that's been charged on the S2400 is the same price that they charged 3 years ago. Like, the world has changed a lot. And Brad was saying in the video that even like the cost of freight has gone up 6 times, like 6-fold since not 6 individual price hikes, but 6-fold price increase since they did this. And some of like labor costs have like doubled and tripled in a lot of things, and materials costs have tripled. And so I imagine it's going to get a lot more expensive. So those are going to be, they're on sale on their site now, and they're going to be filling soon. They also did, they've got a few cord bots, and the cord bots will be available on Friday. They have some of the white ones, and they're doing a limited run of 100 of the cord bot in a clear plastic, which looks pretty cool. Those will be, I think, the original, like and they made a big update to the cord bot. I think that's what it was, yeah. Mm-hmm. It wasn't currently on the site. They'll be available on Friday. So the price there's not too bad. But they made a big update to the firmware there, and it looks like there's at least one more update on that firmware coming.
They fixed the E major 17 bug.
Yep.
Which is like
there was an E major 17.
If you play an E major 17 chord on there, apparently the whole thing just dies.
Yeah.
What the fuck is an E major 17
I don't
chord?
know.
It's one of the buttons on the device.
It's one of the buttons on the device. If you push the
Yeah,
button, it just
it was,
crashes the whole device.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I know I do techno, which is, like
what's a
one
chord?
note, right? Okay. If you put 2 notes into techno, this is jazzy. But like E major 17, like I know enough about music theory to know that's some nonsense right there.
Yeah, but it was the
They're making shit
self-destruct
up.
button. The important thing is they had built a self-destruct button on the device, and now it doesn't self-destruct. So that's cool.
Oh, okay. There's a lot. You know what? There's a lot of people who actually felt like they needed to finish that in order to kind of make good with the original install user base that powered Isla up to the point that which they could do this new big flagship product.
Yeah.
And it felt like they would kind of been abandoned. So I'm really glad to hear that. That sounds like it's pretty much one of the features that we're doing. Although I think a self-destruct button is actually kind of brilliant.
I think everything needs a
Freebird button would be cool too.
needs
Like
a
a button on your gear that it plays Freebird whenever you hit it.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd be into that. So it's pretty exciting. I've
always been looking at the chord bot, but I never pulled a trigger on it. Probably because by the time I remember I was thinking about it, they're sold out.
Let's buy some chord bots on Friday.
There you
But
go.
I'm trying to figure out if I have stuff that does that already.
You probably have some overlap. I think the chord bot it takes what the pyramid does to sort of like an order of magnitude higher in terms of chord creation, I think. So I mean, it's also, I think, a lot more playable than the pyramid is. So the pyramid sort of locks you into a chord and an inversion, and then you have to change that with the rotary encoder, whereas the chord bot has a bunch of keys that you can just kind of go play, and you're setting the key that it's in, and then you just play it. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's you probably have some amount of overlap, but the price on the chord bot is really not bad.
Well, it's the same old story with hardware. It's a dedicated machine, whereas the pyramid or other things that have chording on it are typically much more complex layered machines. The same thing as like a DAW. There's menus and there's lots of functions that are totally unrelated, like sampling and synthesis and sequencing. These are different disciplines. ChordBot, dedicated machine, does one thing. You want to do chords, you want a dedicated machine to do it, here's a solution.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I can do a lot of that kind of thing with my NMSQ. Because there's a chord modes on there and stuff like that, and you can program that really quick and really easily. So,
yeah, you know what you can't do with that one though is you can't buy that one for $279. Check it out, decide that you hate it, and then sell it for $700 2 weeks later because all of them are gone.
I did see the reverb price on those things. Is like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, so that is the compelling thing for me about the ChordBot. Like, I feel pretty confident I'm going to buy one because I actually don't care if I like it. If I don't like it, I'll just sell it. And I'll wait 3 months until they're all gone, and then I'll just sell it.
Actitech says it's cheaper to just learn chords, but if you can make money buying them and then reselling them, it sounds like that's not true.
That's true. I can learn chords, but I can't sell them.
I'll be right there.
It's like a Bitcoin.
Artificial inflation of fake things.
Yeah. You know, I can learn the chords, I just can't play them, and that's not cheaper.
Do you know how much I charge per hour for my day business? If I'm sitting there learning chords, this is actually a lot cheaper just to buy a chord bot.
Yes. The ChordBot
I
is
charge $125 an hour for my time.
No one cares.
So that's like 2.5 hours right there. And Dan, shut the fuck up. Robin, can you stab him?
She could if I were near.
You've got a long sword,
I mean,
right?
I have the technology.
Can you reach Chicago?
Yes.
I
might need to get a great sword, and I don't have one of those
bastard.
yet.
Yeah, bastard king.
Right? I mean, he's sitting on your lap, Robin. You can just take the thing and just. We've run out of news stories.
We did it.
Yeah.
We did it. We took a short news night and stretched it out to well over 2 hours.
Kind of like I did with your mom, Lynch.
Yeah. Yep, that was.
I'm surprised we got till
I
now
know,
before
right?
your mom
Hope you enjoyed
came in. I'm really impressed,
Hope you
actually.
enjoyed the cobwebs. Apparently Dan's going to play us out tonight. So yeah, that is another exciting episode of Tangents. Robin, thank you for joining us as always. Anytime.
Thank you for having me.
Jeff, it's always wonderful seeing you and your curious lighting. Dan, fuck off.
You know what's stored in thigh pads? You.
Moneo, bring me another Dan. Anyway, I think this is probably going to be the only one we're doing this month. I think we're going to take a couple weeks off, a little winter break. I got curl patches to not program and gear to figure out, and it's kind of slow news around this time of month. But we'll be coming back in January to get started with NAMM coverage, of which there'll probably be maybe something, maybe not, because NAMM's kind of hit or miss when it comes to electronic music shit. So, yeah.
I got to roll, guys. I drank this entire thing of Crystal Light.
Just pee into it, and then it's just Crystal Light again.
Nope, TOS.
There's an entire community of people who are into that.
Dude, just pee. You're wearing your still suit, right?
They're called loopers.
They're called Fremen.
And they generate hysterical things on Facebook.
About peeing and things?
And drinking it, yes. And bathing in it, too.
Cool. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed drinking and bathing in your piss.
On that note,
if you guys want to
Thanks, I hate
tell
it.
you about the loopers.
look at the time.
Love you all. We should find someone to raid to. Who's on that we can raid to?
Piss in my ass!
Quickly.
Graceful Bard. We're going to raid over to Graceful.
Quickly.
Yeah.
The Bard.
Go. Run.
Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope I typed that right. Yes, I did. Yay. All right. So have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. And I'll put the end thing so he can go and pee all over the screen.